What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. So, welcome back to my channel. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down in a practical way so that you can use them and apply them with your awareness in your day-to-day life, okay? First thing that I want to say is I want to give some clarity on who I am, just so you know who you're getting this information from. My name is Venmo Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in Kabbalah. I'm studied when it comes to the tarot, and I'm also studied when it comes to astrology and planetary energies. So this is, once again, just to create a context of who you're getting this information from, just so that you know you're getting it from somebody who's actually a practitioner, not from someone who's just read a bunch of books or is regurgitating a bunch of knowledge that I actually don't necessarily have access to, right? Because in order to apply knowledge, you need the power to apply it. So, long story short, I am a practitioner and I'm speaking on things that I've experienced, okay? So with that aside, what is the topic of today's video? Okay, so in today's video, what I want to talk about is a very well-known subject in regards to the occult field, but I want to share some perspective on this aspect of the self, covering the topic that I'm going to cover. I want to share some, another outlet of where you can gain knowledge on this subject as well. Someone that's actually helped me on my personal journey in regards to their knowledge and what they put out publicly. And I really want to break down this subject as best as I can, and I want to also explain how do you really develop this and where does it really come to fruition, okay? So the subject that I want to talk about and that I am going to talk about in today's video is along the lines of the Daemon, okay? So this is a Greek term, and the translation for the Greek word of Daemon translated to good spirit, okay? So I'm going to be breaking down what exactly the Daemon is. How important is the Daemon? I'm going to give you a source where you can study a little bit more about the Daemon from another practitioner that I definitely recommend you study from. I have respect for this practitioner. And once again, I'm going to just give you a little bit of a breakdown of how I view the Daemon and why I view it that way. Okay, so if you want to know a little bit more in-depth information about the Daemon, how it's formed exactly, where it comes to life, and also dismissing a lot of false information about the Daemon as well, then stay tuned for the rest of this video. Okay, so let's jump right into the subject. So, the Daemon, okay? So, let's break down the word Daemon, okay? This is actually, it's kind of funny because this is something that I recently did. I want to say like a couple months ago, and it just kind of shocks me that it took me this long to really come to this realization. And it actually stemmed from one of my friends who's a very, very high-level shaman. He's this guy that is very intuitive in regards to his occult understanding. And he says these things that they don't make sense logically. But when you actually listen and try to understand what he's saying, there is so much wisdom and knowledge that is within what he says. And he said something about the Daemon, I remember, and Daemon. And I thought about that and I was like, that's so fascinating, because I always wondered, like, okay, Daemon in Greek can also translate to good spirit, but like, what exactly does that represent? What exactly does that mean? That felt a little bit surface level to me. And the reality is that it is a little bit surface level. So I wanted to unpack it a little bit more. So when I realized that Daemon can represent day, moon, that's when something clicked for me. Because we know in regards to planetary associations, the day is associated with the sun, and the moon is obviously the moon, right? Day, moon, okay? So two planetary influences, and the sun and the moon are actually, in regards to astrology, pretty close to being opposites. You know, the sun is up during the daytime, goes down, then the moon comes out, okay? Day, night. So if we're going to be talking about different aspects of the human and the totality of the human spiritual being, the day would represent the spirit, okay? And the spirit of the human being can be looked at as the masculine force that really goes out and conquers what they are setting out to go and do. It's like the part of the being that is what's known as the masculine principle, where it's like, I'm going to go achieve this and I'm going to do it right now. Okay, I'm going to go get this. I'm going to go get it. Okay, I'm going to do this. That's the spirit. Okay, it's a force. Now we have the moon. Okay, this is another aspect of our being, right? The moon is associated with the soul. Okay, the soul can be connected to the purpose, the reason why you're here. Okay, the reason why you came down to Earth in the first place as an energetic being in your own rights. So the soul is also directly connected to the intuition. Okay, it's that ability to be receptive, the ability to listen to that inner knowing or that inner guidance that you have, and then the spirit comes in and says, now let's act on it. Okay, so this is the day moon. The Daemon now can come into play. So the Daemon is going to be the aspect of the human being which is interconnected with their spirit and their soul, and it is literally their own energetic, spiritual being. So what that means is that the daemon is, once again, consisting of two separate aspects of the self. We have the spirit and the soul. Now, as you develop yourself through occult initiation and occult practices, you empower your spirit and you empower your soul. So obviously, the more progress you're making as an occultist, the more power you're gaining, the stronger your daemon is going to become. Okay, now there's a lot of people that do not have a connection with their daemon. Okay, there is a lot of people that have a very weak connection to this part of their being. And there's nothing wrong with that, because in reality, to really access a full understanding of your daemon, which means being able to literally visualize your own highest self, your own highest potential, being your soul and your spirit in an external form, in order to visualize that and literally communicate with that in a very profound yet real way, you have to achieve some pretty high levels of occult initiation to really get that awakening to happen. It's almost like a bridge gets created between the conscious mind and the subconscious and unconscious. Okay? And the daemon speaks usually through the subconscious and the unconscious. So the reality is most people don't really have too much of a profound connection with their daemon, because they haven't gone through higher levels of occult initiation. But people do have this inner sense that they do have what's known as a daemon. And obviously, you know, the human being has a spirit and a soul, okay? That is their inner knowing, or that inner intuition that the average person has, where it's like, you know, I understand I have this being that is a part of who I am. I just maybe don't have a really strong connection with that being yet. And, you know, once again, another reality that we live in is that a lot of people's spirit and soul are shelled, okay, from ritual abuse that is being performed on a mass collective level that a lot of people don't even recognize, okay? So because of this shell, this also weakens the awareness or that inner connection to your spirit and your soul, okay? So obviously, when it comes to occult initiation and undoing a lot of the programming, or undoing a lot of the shelling that has been done to you, you know, just being here on Earth, that's actually very profound. Initiation is very important to really get that connection, okay? And there's many, you know, obviously, it's going to be different for different people, meaning like some people are more shelled than others, right? There's people that have this inner knowing that they have a daemon already, doesn't mean they have the full-on connection where they can see it. And then there's other people that don't even know about it, right? They don't even know about it, but yet they still have a little bit of an intuition and things of that nature. Well, all of that, the intuition in its nature, the spirit, the male principle of yourself that's like, I'm going to go do this. The spirit's feminine, the male principle is masculine. Whenever you have that intuition and whenever you have that ability to say, I'm going to go achieve this, that is your daemon. Okay, I just want you to know that. That is your daemon, but you don't necessarily need to be fully aware of it for it to actually have an influence on you. But what I want you to understand is that your daemon is an aspect of you. Okay, it is an actual spiritual being. You could think of it as your own entity. It is you and you are it. I'm going to say that again. It is you and you are it. So you existing as a human being right now, listening to this video, okay, yes, you exist here in the physical plane, right? You have a physical body, just like you're looking at me, I have a physical body. I'm a human being, right? Like you can touch me, I'm solid, all these things. But I'm also a spiritual being as well, meaning I have connections that are energetic and they are aspects of my human body. Okay, every human being has an energetic field, okay? So the spiritual side of my being, because I am a high-level occultist, has taken on its own, I will say this, it's taken on a very powerful form where it can do very profound things in regards to I can communicate with my own spirit and soul, my own daemon, and I will get very valuable, honest feedback relayed back to me because I'm communicating. It's like I'm communicating with myself, but in its highest form, okay? In the form that is going to give me understanding of the past, present, and future that I necessarily may have not been able to access without that spiritual side of my being, because the daemon is the spiritual aspect of myself. And obviously a part of really developing the daemon is taking your spirit and taking your soul, understanding these two mechanisms of the spiritual body, and then recognizing that you can mesh them together, and then that starts to form the daemon. And the daemon is also associated with the remote viewing body. Okay, sometimes if we're going to be talking about like the science of, you know, occultists, there's a lot of occultists that are more so geared towards the scientific spectrum. They'll refer to this as their remote viewing body. Okay, and I like, you know, I'm totally down for the scientific spectrum. That's personally what I'm trying to fully understand right now. I love that the occult can be broken down to a science, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is, and that's why we're learning it, is because it is a science, and we're living in this, you know, this world that literally, once you become aware enough, you can understand that there is a deep science to triggering very supernatural things and controlling things in a very spooky or supernatural way. And I love that. That's what I'm drawn in towards. But taking it back, the daemon, yes, is going to be a mesh of the spirit and the soul put into one, which once again, it can be known as the remote viewing body, okay, or the lucid viewing body. And, you know, once again, to really have a strong connection, to be able to fully manifest your daemon and be able to commune with it, and to have it be able to do things for you, you know, while you're in, you know, to be able to have your own daemon do things for you in other dimensions that are going to empower you in your physical body with your physical energy field, your bioplasm energy field. You have to empower your daemon to a profound level for it to do that. okay? Now, the next thing that I want to cover is, how do you do that? Okay, like, that's probably the next thing you want to know is, like, how do I empower my daemon to get to that level? I want to do that. Well, there's a couple things, okay? As I mentioned, you know, occult initiation is fundamental for that. But let's also be real, occult initiation is not for everybody. You know, when I talk about occult initiation, I'm referring to Kabbalah, and I'm referring to traveling into the Qliphoth as an initiate in Universe B, and also traveling through the tunnels of Set simultaneously, which is the hell realms of the matrix that we live in. It is the actual hell universes of this matrix. And obviously, if you've heard of hell before, which I'm sure you have, hell's not really a good place to be. It's not really a fun place to be. Now, obviously, when you're going through as an initiate, you get a certain power to you where you don't get affected the way the average person gets affected. But that also doesn't mean that you get a smooth ride to just travel through and everything's going to be all good. It is going to challenge you. You are going to be traveling through hell, and there are going to be hellish experiences that you will come across going through that journey. And that's just a fact. It is not for everybody. And quite frankly, there have been a lot of people that tried to walk through this path of occult initiation and have lost themselves completely. They've lost themselves, you know, in many different areas of the Qliphoth. You know, you have 7 different spheres of Qliphothic initiation. Then there's the abyss. That's a major point where a lot of people completely lose themselves. And then there's the higher 3 spheres. If you're looking for ultimate power, you got to travel through the whole tree. There's no reason really to stop. If you're going to be working through the Qliphoth, to stop in any of the lower spheres, you got to go to Thamiel and then past that. And they're all challenging. So there will be challenges that potentially, if you don't know how to make it through, and you give in to the hell realms or the traps, you can get stuck, and it can be very, very challenging to get out. And it will test you psychologically, mentally, emotionally on levels that, once again, the majority of people that go into this, because they don't have the right starting conditions, because they don't know what they're getting themselves into, fail. And when I say fail, I mean you get eternal torture, a lot of suicide gets committed, drug addictions that lead to eternal torture as well. All kinds of bad stuff. And it's all, like, you can look this up. You can study it. There's not many people that are sitting here talking about it like the way I am. But it's a reality, okay? It's very true, okay? And once again, you can study many well-known occultists that have worked through these Qliphothic realms and the tunnels of Set that didn't have the right starting conditions and didn't really understand fully what they were getting themselves into. And you can look at how their lives panned out, okay? That's where I'm going to leave it at. Now, let's talk about, where does the daemon really get developed? Where does the daemon really come to life? Okay, and I'm sharing this from personal experience. I've worked through the entire Qliphoth, and I've traveled through the tunnels of Set, so I'm speaking from personal experience. So let's assume that you're going to be working through the Qliphoth, and you have the right starting conditions, you have the right tools you need going into it, and you're semi-aware of what the experience is going to be like. Meaning, you know it's not going to be a walk in the park, and you know that it's going to take a lot of dedication and time to fully initiate through the whole system. But it will lead to ultimate power if you make it. So, assuming that's in place, the part in regards to the Qliphoth where you should really have this demonic awakening, where you really do bridge that gap between your conscious and your subconscious and unconscious, should be in the center of the Qliphoth, which is the sphere of Thagirion. Okay? So, in the sphere of Thagirion, that is going to be ruled by the planetary energy of the sun. But I should say the sphere of Thagirion in its Sephirothic aspect is Tifereth, which is ruled by the sun. But now that we're working in the Qliphoth, we are now accessing, you could say, the black sun, the dark sun Okay, so there's a very strong influence of the day and the moon, okay, the dark sun. And what happens in that sphere is, first of all, let me give a little bit of an understanding of what that sphere represents. That's the sphere of illumination. That's the sphere of self-realization. Okay, this is a sphere of conscious awakening. In its Sephirothic aspect, being Tifereth, it's the sphere of becoming aware of your potential power, becoming aware of what you are as a spiritual being. Whoa, I am actually a spirit. Whoa, I can actually do things like that are, you know, quote unquote supernatural, because I understand I'm an energetic being. Holy shit, this like opens up my eyes, right? That's the Sephirothic aspect. But now that we take it into the hell realms, the Qliphoth in Universe B, now not only is it giving you this illumination where you're like, oh, I am a spiritual being, yada, 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 which you should already understand before going into the Qliphoth. What happens is you become aware of darkness. So the darker aspects of reality, right? Dark matter energies, the subconscious, the unconscious, you're now becoming illuminated to those dark areas. And you actually figure out the light within darkness. So darkness becomes your new light. So you start to see a different paradigm where you understand that actually light comes from darkness. So before there's light, there has to be darkness. And light is created from darkness. And with this simple awareness that I'm explaining, this is shifting paradigms that darkness can be looked at as a form of light. So to be aware of darkness means that you're now becoming aware of aspects of reality, which include yourself, that is hidden to the majority of people. Okay, and one of those major aspects, according to the self, is going to be your soul and your spirit. Okay, so looking at it from the Sephirothic perspective in Universe A, it's more of a conscious awareness of your spirit, which is once again the masculine side of your being, which is like, oh, I'm a spirit. I can literally achieve anything with energy, as long as I direct it in that area. But now that we're in Universe B and we're looking at Thagirion, now we're seeing more so of a feminine aspect mixed in with that, you could say, dark masculine, that solar phallic, that black, dark solar phallic energy. So mixing in the Universe B and the feminine is the perfect formula for the soul and the spirit, the black sun, the dark sun, the day moon, okay? So now that we're having this awareness and this dark illumination within the sphere of Thagirion, which is the center of the Qliphoth, this is the sphere where you come across information that should be natural. It should naturally happen because you're in the sphere. Because when you're in spheres, certain spheres, these are literal universes. So while you're in this sphere of Thagirion as a Universe B initiate, aka a vampire, you are now naturally coming across certain circumstances that should be leading you intuitively towards how to fully awaken your daemon. Okay? So, and the reason why, once again, is because that's the nature of the sphere. So as long as you're receptive and you trust your spirit in regards to you're intuitive, you listen, you get a notion to do something, your spirit says, I'm gonna act on it. I don't necessarily need to understand it fully, but I feel that my intuition is telling me this is right, and I know that my intuition is guiding me, so I'm gonna use my spirit and I'm gonna go do it. As long as you're in that state of mind, or as long as you're in that state of being, I should say, then you will naturally be led to certain avenues because of the nature of the sphere of Thagirion, that you will find ways to unlock your daemon, bridge that gap fully between your conscious and your subconscious and unconscious. So let me give you a little bit of an idea of how this manifested for me. So when I was going through the initiation of Thagirion, I didn't know anything about what I'm sharing with you right now. I knew nothing, okay? I was another human being that was going through this Qliphothic initiation. From the very start, I entered into it from a sense of self-importance. I entered into it egotistically. I thought, oh, this is a system that's going to give me so much power. I read about it. I'm thinking I'm this extremely powerful spiritual being, which I am, but my self-importance was definitely taking a hold of me. I was like, I'm going to initiate into the entire Qliphoth, and I'm going to finish it in 2 months. And to me, at the time, I was like, 2 months, that's still kind of long. And little did I know what I was getting myself into, and it ended up being over 2 years. It was like, whoa, like shocked me, right? So I didn't know anything really about the Qliphoth entering into it, okay? So by the time I was getting to the sphere of Thagirion, I was intuitively aware that I was traveling through the Qliphoth, and I had very little knowledge of the spheres. So I was trying to pinpoint which spheres I was in and all that stuff, and I was actually doing pretty well with the pinpointing. So I would feel energetically like after a month and a half or 2 months, that's when my soul and my spirit would shift into different spheres. So I became sort of aware of these shifts that were happening. So I would go from one sphere, and then a month and a half to 2 months later, I would recognize that there's a shift in energy, and then I'm probably moving into the next sphere because I had a little bit of knowledge of what the spheres represented, and I would also go back and try to study them, I would say to a lesser degree. I didn't have like a very profound book that was explaining the nature of the spheres. It was just very brief information. But yes, once again, as I was saying, when I was in the sphere of Thagirion, I was actually aware that I was in that sphere. I could tell by the energetic influence, which is it's cool when you go from one sphere to another because there really is a very profound shift. And you know how real these realms are when you feel that shift take place. So I was being naturally led to doing certain things that I didn't understand. Okay, now let me break down what I'm trying to explain here. Now, the first thing that I'm trying to make clear is I'm not doing all kinds of things that are just impulsively coming to me and I don't understand them and I just go and do them because I see other people talking about it and other people doing it. When I say I'm doing things that I don't understand, what I'm referring to is I'm listening to my intuition. Okay, I'm listening to what my soul is speaking to me through my inner knowing, and then I'm using my spirit to achieve it or to go in that direction. Okay, I'm not just like on YouTube looking for someone to tell me what to do and then I go and do it, right? That's not what I'm referring to. I'm listening to myself. Okay, essentially I'm listening to my own Daemon. Okay, so what happened is I was intuitively led to go to this specific location, which ended up being a Stargate, a real, very powerful Stargate, and I'll even give you the place. It's in South Beach, Miami, and it's known as Garage 1111. And the entire sequence of the garage, first of all, it's 7 floors, and it spirals downwards. It's a garage that spirals. And if you understand Stargates, there is an extremely essential Stargate that lies underneath of St. Nicholas's Church. And that is a very profound astral structure in regards to entering into different hell realms of the Qliphoth. So essentially you have Malkuth, which is the physical plane. Then there is this Stargate that drops you down. And then there's the middle place. And then if you can, then there's the middle place, then there's this layer of water, and then if you can go under that, then you can reach the Qliphoth. So what was basically going on is this garage had 7 floors, and remember at the time I knew nothing about what I'm sharing right now. I just knew that it was a cool place to be, it looked over Miami, and I was being led to go there. And what happened is I was following my intuition, and my intuition literally told me, okay, you need to summon, I believe it was somewhere around the nature of like 11 different Ars Goetia demons. I don't really understand why it had to be this number, but it was. Okay, so I was led to write out the names of these 11 Ars Goetic demons, and I had their ends right next to their names. Once again, not 100% sure why I'm being guided to do this, but once I explain what I did, then I'll explain why I was led to do this, because there's a real science to what I'm speaking about, and it'll make sense now. So I did that, and then I was led to create a sigil for myself. Okay, I was led to create my own sigil. So I ended up developing, and this is not all within one day. This actually took like a week's time to really follow my intuition properly. So I ended up developing my own sigil, okay, for myself, representing myself, my Daemon. And then I was led to create my own ends for myself, right? This is almost 3 years ago when this happened. And I still have it right now in my book, and I still use it, the same end. And it's you know, it's a couple pages long, but I was led to do this. And in long story short, it's basically worshiping myself, and saying certain aspects about myself. For example, you know, my Daemon is this. My Daemon is you know, powerful. My Daemon is this strong hunter. My Daemon is the, you know, a master vampire. And then underneath that, I would say, I am a strong hunter. I am a master vampire. And then I would interconnect, I am my Daemon, blank, fill in the blank, which is my Daemon's name. And I was basically linking my physical body to my soul and spirit's form, known as the Daemon. That's basically what was going on. Once again, I didn't really understand it at the time, but I knew I needed to do it. And then once I had all these demons' names listed out, okay, like 11 of them, I believe it was like 11 of them. I don't even remember which ones it was off the top of my head. I may have it in my grimoire. I'm not 100% sure though. But once I did that, once I had that written out, and then I had my sigil, and then I had my own end, next thing I was led to do was go to that 1111 garage for a month straight, okay, at least at some point during the day or night. I had to go there every day though. I remember that. It was very clear. It said, my intuition said, you have to go here at least once a day. You can choose the time you go, because naturally the time you go is going to be perfect timing. And you have to read off your end. With your sigil, you have to gaze at your sigil before you read the end. Then you read your own end. And then you have to read the ends of these 10 demons that 11 demons that you have written down in your grimoire. And I was told to do this every day for 30 days, okay? So what naturally ended up happening is I listened, okay? I'm not gonna not listen to my own intuition. It's myself guiding me, right? And I'm on a path of high magic, traveling to the cliff house, so I'm going to listen and see where it leads me. So with that being said, you know, I did that. And it was okay, so actually remember how I said the garage spirals, and there were 7 floors? What naturally happened is I would go to a different floor most of the days. So one day I would be on this floor, the next day I would be on this floor. One day I'd be on that floor, the next day I'd be on this other floor. And that was very interesting as well, because I know there was a very large gematria pattern that was at play there. But once again, it's one of those things I can't recall exactly what the gematria added up to, but I was just listening to my intuition and trusting my spirit to guide me on the path of my intuition. And it was around roughly the 20th day of me going to this garage every day, where, you know, the beginning phases of me going and doing the invocations were energetic. I mean, I felt the presence build up. It wasn't like I was seeing anything like supernatural or anything crazy, But I just knew the fact of me doing the motions and going through the acts, the ritualistic act, was very important, and I knew I needed to do it. And I kept remembering that my intuition was like, you got to do this every day. And trust me, there was days where I didn't feel like doing it, but I went and did it. And it was around the 20th day where I had an experience doing the same routine, the same formula that I did the previous days, and it was extremely profound. Now, what I saw was I saw my daemon manifest. Okay, I literally remember my daemon appearing in front of me, flying. It was like literally flying, okay, in front of me. It had wings, and it was very profound. And at this time, I didn't understand if it was necessarily my daemon. I was like, whoa, what is this being that's in front of me? And it looked very powerful. It looked like a hunter, and it looked like a vampire. And eventually, after having sat there and looked at it and tried to make a connection with it and just fully understand what I'm looking at, I started to recognize, and it started to communicate once again at the same time. But I started to recognize that this is my daemon, because this is the strong hunter. This is the vampire. This is my daemon in front of me. But that didn't necessarily mean that I was like open arms right off the bat and I'm like, hey, it's great to have connection with you now. Like, come on in. I was a little, me walking on my path, I've always been a little bit, I've always had that little bit of being skeptical, because I don't want to just let anything into me that I don't fully understand yet. So I knew that experience was very profound, and that being that had appeared was connected to my intuition. And it all clicked for me, because remember my intuition was like, do this for 30 days. And it just happened to manifest somewhere around one of the 20th days. So that experience happened, and that was very profound. That showed me very strong success, and I wanted to unpack that further. Now, it was around this time where I naturally came across some more understandings of the daemon, because remember, I'm in the sphere of Thagirion, which is a hell universe, but because I'm an initiate in Universe B, I'm learning things from the sphere of Thagirion that are going to help me empower myself in regards to the black lights, the awareness of darkness, the Daemon. So I came across Michael W. Ford, which is a very well-known author and occultist in the field that I'm in. And once again, as I said from the beginning of this video, I have respect for him, because he definitely is an occultist that knows what he's talking about. And I applied some of his teachings, and I'll explain what they are, but I applied some of his teachings that I was studying during the time, and I got results from them. And there wasn't too many other occultists that I knew that were really talking about the Daemon besides Michael W. Ford. And I really like that. And I can naturally tell by his character and by his being that he is someone that was living what he was talking about. You can tell he has a connection with his own daemon. And I like that. I like that. So what was it that I learned from Michael W. Ford that was really profound? So I was listening to a video that he had. I don't remember what the name of it now is, but it was a video where he was talking to an artist that he was friends with, and the artist was someone who was drawing people's daemons. And I just remember that Michael W. Ford was talking about the power of art and how you can bring things to life using artwork. So as I'm listening to this, I'm back at home. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try doing that. I'm going to see if I can, because I was trying to, I remember the night when I saw my daemon appear in front of me, and it was very profound, but I wanted to be able to see it in more detail. I want to be able to make it more profound. And then I'm coming across this video of Michael W. Ford talking to some artist where you can bring, you can bring your essentially visualization to life using art, using a pen or pencil and applying it to paper. So I pulled out a little notebook and I started drawing, and I'm no artist, but I started drawing what I believed my daemon to look like. So in this moment, what I'm really doing is I am forming my daemon, okay? I'm using a pen and I'm drawing on paper, which is wood, which is a magical act in nature, and I'm drawing what I personally believe my daemon to look like. And then I finished the drawing. Once again, I'm no artist. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, what a great drawing. But to me, it gave me an idea of how I saw my daemon. Now, I remember that after I drew that, it was after that when I started to really lock into my daemon. And I started to really be able to see it with detail. And one of the main reasons is because, first of all, there are magical scientific properties to pen on paper or pencil on paper or Sharpie on paper, whatever it is, on paper. There is a science and there are magical properties to that. But second, it was because I spent time going into detail of how I'm seeing my daemon. And I'm trying to tune in to what I saw that night. And also not just what I saw, but what I wanted it to look like. Okay? Because my daemon is me. I am my daemon. I get to create what I see it as. So I'm like adding things. Okay? And it was from that day when I had finished that drawing that I began to visualize and see my daemon appear in a very, very, very similar form as how I drew it. And that's when things began to shift to the next level. So, yes, so I ended up going back to this garage, and this is after the 20th day when I had this awakening. And I'm continuing to do the work because I'm trying to empower this awakening. I'm trying to see where else it can lead me. And I remember this being very profound. Okay, this is very profound, and this actually correlates to a lot. This is mind-blowing. So it ended up leading me, excuse me, not leading, what am I saying? So I ended up doing this same formula once again. My daemon appears, but this time it appears on a dragon, a black dragon. Okay, this was different. I had never seen anything like that before. As I said, I hadn't visualized a dragon before. I just started building this connection and being able to visualize my daemon. Now I'm literally seeing my daemon appear riding a black dragon, literally riding it. So it appeared in front of me on a black dragon. So now there's all these other things that are coming out of my subconscious and my unconscious that are like, what is this? And there was a lot that just started rushing to my conscious mind, like trying to figure out what this means, trying to unpack, is this a different spirit? What is this? What am I seeing? Okay, what is the significance and the symbolism behind my daemon riding this dragon? Okay, so I didn't know. I really didn't know. But what I did know is that I liked it. Okay, I liked it. I really liked it. My intuition told me this is a sign of power. And I liked it. Okay, I was like, okay, I know I don't need the answers now. Okay, I know they'll come. This is the nature of this level of initiation. They will come within time. I just need to be patient. But my intuition was saying, this is a sign of power. So I was happy about that. And I liked that it showed up in that form. And then next thing you know, I'm seeing it fly around. Okay? And I remember that it specifically told me, my daemons in riding this dragon told me to go around the garage. So go from facing one direction to the next direction, to the next direction, to the other direction. And, in regards to a ritual, this is taking me from north, east, south, and west. So there is a really profound significance to why I'm facing these different directions. But at the time, I didn't know that. I'm just visualizing what I'm being intuitively led to visualize. And this dragon is flying around, burning things to the ground. I'm literally watching it burning things to the ground. Absolutely burning things to the ground. And I'm trying to understand it, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to fully unpack this right now. So I just sat on it, okay? And it was fascinating because I recognized very shortly after that experience, that the tattoo that I had on my arm was the exact, and specifically the black dragon, because I have 3 dragons that are tattooed on me. I have a green one, a red one, but this black one I have tattooed on me on my inner arm where sword is, okay? And there is an eye that is in this dragon that's green, and my eyes are green to symbolize me being the dragon. Now, it didn't click for me at first when I saw the dragon appear, but then I realized that's the same dragon that I have tattooed on me. Whoa. And there's a reason why I have these dragons tattooed on me. When I got the tattoos, I didn't understand the reason. But now I know the reason. So at the time I was like, this is a lot to uncover. This is a lot, right? This is going to take some time to fully unpack. And it literally ended up taking years to really uncover. And I'm still uncovering some of those experiences, okay? But that, once again, that's the nature of Cliffothic initiation. So now, looking back, where I'm at now, and a lot has happened since then. I continued going down my initiatory journey, now in connection with my daemon from that moment. And, being open to learning more about this dragon. But once again, a year and a half later is when I came across the answers of what that dragon was. I still didn't fully understand it. So for some of you that watch my channel, you know that I mentioned a dragon named Amalek, which represents mother strength, and is connected to the lore of the Amalekites in regards to the times of Israel. And they were a group of people that fought against Judaism because they didn't want to be controlled and they didn't want to have to follow or serve any other god. They were their own beings that followed their own freedom, essentially. You could look at them as freedom warriors. So they fought whoever tried to conceal them into a certain belief system or a certain religious, spiritual belief system at that. And what stemmed from that, and obviously the Amalekites, it goes even farther back than that, and there was a spiritual force that always guided that group of people, and people that were like that, self-similar to them. And that spiritual force is an earth energy, which is the dragon, the black dragon specifically, which is known or can be called Amalek. Okay, that's a very profound name that you can call that dragon with, because it was the main force that was guiding the Amalekites. So you can call Amalek, which represents mother strength, and that force will appear, the black dragon. And Amalek is the force that literally comes in during times of mass collection in regards to collecting chaos to completely destroy it. To then source it. And the only person that can unleash the dragon, or the only peoples that can unleash the dragon, are source avatars. People that have a connection to source. Because this dragon, Amalek, is pure evil. It's a dragon that just destroys chaos. It only does that, and it does not accept goodness. The dragon does not want goodness. It does not want love. It does not want light. It wants none of that. It just wants complete destruction of evil. And that's its purpose. As a spiritual earth energy, this is what that dragon represents. And the being that is a source avatar, for example, my daemon riding this dragon, is the being that gets to accept the goodness from all the destruction. So obviously when you destroy chaos, if you are coming from the right energetic perspective as a source avatar, you are sourcing the chaos. So there's a purpose behind why you're eliminating chaos, just like as I mentioned in previous videos with the Kalki avatar. So with this dragon that is just completely destroying chaos, and it's a force of, it's an earth energy, so that means that other spirits can't stop it. It's a ley line. It's a real earth energy that is built into the quantum wave function of earth energies, which is an underlying mechanism that you can't bypass with other spirits. It's way more powerful than that, which means it's also harder to harness, okay, and get mastery over or get an awareness of. So with that being said, being a source avatar is the only way that you can unleash the Amalek, the black dragon, to eliminate chaos, to then source all the chaos that's being eliminated. And because that chaos doesn't, because the goodness or the sourcehood from the chaos doesn't go to the dragon, it goes to the being that rides the dragon. And this is all stuff that I've studied within this year of not this year, within the end year of 2020, and then going into this year. And it's starting to really uncover why I've always had this connection to this black dragon, why I saw my Daemon that day riding the black dragon. And, you know, these are very profound connections. And once again, this is just me sharing my experience, you know, having awakened my Daemon. And once again, that's the nature of these Cliffothic initiations, is that you won't understand all the time what's going on in the moment, but later down the road, the answers will be presented to you. And there's a real science and there's a history to this black dragon in regards to spiritual evolution. And where else do we see the black dragon? We see the black dragon also in the movie The Mortal Kombat. Okay, they have the mark, the mark of the chosen, which is the black dragon, which is interesting because this is a new movie. And guess what other movie recently came out? And these are movies that just recently came out after the whole pandemic or after the whole coronavirus surge in regards to the United States. So these are movies that have different energetic intentions behind them than the previous society that we used to live in before the pandemic, before the corruption got exposed. So now we're seeing movies like Godzilla, where it's, you know, King Kong and Godzilla, the big dragon, and they're both destroying the artificial intelligence. Isn't that an interesting switch up for a concept? They even mention the Illuminati in the movie, and they're the ones that get attacked. Very interesting concepts that we don't usually see play out in movies. Okay, usually the movies have a sinister agenda behind them. Okay, so that's very interesting. And then we're seeing Mortal Kombat with the same type of intention. There is a very interesting shift in the agenda behind these mainstream movies, where the mark of the black dragon in regards to Mortal Kombat end up winning the battle. Interesting. Okay, so we're seeing Amalek manifest. Okay, we are seeing Amalek manifest, and it's only going to be getting stronger and build more momentum as time goes on. You will see what I'm talking about. So once again, what we can draw from this is that this is a part of evolution, and this is very, very deep knowledge that I'm sharing with you that not everyone will be able to understand. But for those of you that do, that means that you are receptive. And that's a very good sign, because that's what you need to really step into your highest potential. But yeah, you know, once again, that was all part of, you know, awakening my Daemon. Okay, this is, and once again, a year and a half later after that experience of awakening my Daemon, now I'm understanding what it all meant. And the last thing that I want to cover is the importance of why I felt led to summon 11 Ars Goetia before that, because I still didn't understand that. It was very random. It was very intuitive. And once again, I was listening to my intuition, which is why I was so successful in my journey, because there was many people that tried to lead me in the wrong direction. There was many traps, okay? Walking through these hell realms, there are traps. There are blockages that people try to pull you into. Sometimes you'll get pulled into them and then you'll course correct and realize that's not the path. But other times, you'll be able to just recognize it and not even have to go into it, okay? That's the ideal outcome. But as I said, you know, trusting my intuition, I was led to summon these 11 Ars Goetia. Now, I didn't understand it then, now I understand it. So this is what it is. And you'll get what I'm saying if you've watched my video on my channel. that is in regards to the nature, the true nature of demons. So this is actually something that most people don't understand about the Ars Goetia or demons in general. The true nature of demons is to take away the male principle. Okay, so they actually take away the ability to say, I'm going to go do that right now. That's just their nature. Okay, they manifest as male spirits that take away the male principle from the being. Obviously, men have more male principle than women because men are more male, biologically speaking. So they'll take away the male principle, and then naturally, they add to your soul. So although they're taking away from the male principle, there is another aspect that actually can be looked at as beneficial, which is, once again, adding to the soul. Okay? So when you are an initiate working through Universe B, being a Universe B being, the demons will come around and take that male principle away from you. It's just a part of the process. No matter how close you are with them, it's just a part of what they need to continue to be alive. Okay, you can think of it like that. What they do is they take the male principle away and they give it to feminine dark entities, dark spirits, dark matter energies, dark matter beings. Because the feminine spirits are the ones that are the creators of the Ars Goetia. So for example, we have Lilith, right? One of the overarching dark feminine spirits, who is the mother of the demons, which is the mother of the Ars Goetia. So this is symbolism of females, dark spirits, dark feminine spirits that are in complete rulership of the Qliphothic realms and the Ars Goetia. Because once again, the Ars Goetia have to take male principle away to then give to the female spirits that rule the tunnels of Set specifically. Every one of the tunnels of Set is a female spirit, and the tunnels of Set need to exist for the Qliphoth to maintain its function. So it's all an energetic structure. So that was just to give you a little bit of an understanding of why demons take away the male principle. Now, as I was saying, when you're an initiate working through Universe B as a Universe B being, vampire, they add to your soul. Okay, so they can add, for example, awareness to your soul. They can add lost fragments of your soul to your soul. Okay, because once again, you're working through the Qliphothic realm, where it's a hell realm, which most likely you've had pieces of yourself fragmented and shelled. So the demons, when you are a Universe B vampire, are now helping you retrieve certain aspects of your soul and adding it back to you. Okay, or whatever aspect that you need added to your soul that could be beneficial for you. Maybe it has to do with something in the nature of being a little less along the lines of being an energetic savior. So for example, a demon can add being a little bit more cold-hearted to you. If you're someone who's always trying to save people and I'm going to change the world, I'm going to save everybody, you know, like there's a lot of people like that. They can add coldness to your soul. They can add things to your soul that are going to help you really transition into your highest potential. So this is what they do for the Universe B vampire going through their journey of initiation. Now, what they can add to the soul of the regular human being, and what they do add to the soul of the regular human being that's not a Universe B being, and that is not an initiate trying to work through the hell realms or the tunnels of Set or in the dark matter energy realms whatsoever, trying to gain power, what they add to the soul of those beings is torture. Okay, they add bad things. They add gluttony. They add failure. They add perversions. They add financial traps. They add things that you don't want. And this is how you get a human being to be tortured. Okay, this is why you can use a demon to attack somebody, to torture somebody. Because when you send a demon out to go and do that, they are going to take away the male principle from that person, and then they're going to add hell-like attributes to that person's soul. And demons are naturally great at shelling people. So the demon will go and travel over to the person that you're hypothetically trying to curse, and they will remove their male principle, which means shelling their spirit, and they will add negative attributes to their soul, which eventually shells their soul fluid and shells their soul. So now you have a human being that's shelled, and this shell feeds the hell-like features that are added to that person's soul, because the human being is now suffering, and the state of suffering that they're in is even providing more energy to their shelled spirit and soul that they most likely don't even know about. This is what demons do. Now, obviously, if you use a demon to try and attack someone like me, it's not going to work, because I've crossed the abyss, and when you cross the abyss, you completely change your soul. Okay, your soul completely changes. It turns into a black hole. Okay, I've explained this before. I will actually make a whole video on this subject, but essentially, long story short, in a nutshell, what it represents is your soul then has a negative torsion field spin, okay, and it collapses on itself completely, and then it re-manifests as a black hole that has and if you know a black hole, it's constantly sucking in things, right? Constantly, even lights, okay, even lights, constantly sucking it in so it can maintain more power. So when you send a Ars Goetia to attack someone that's actually crossed the abyss, then that demon will try to come over, get sucked in, and nothing can happen. And there's actually, there can actually be consequences to the person that sent it, because the person that's black holed their soul probably has worked with demons and knows a lot more about demons than the person that sent the demon, and naturally probably has programmed the Ars Goetia to serve them. So by you just trying to send a demon to attack the person that's, you know, crossed the abyss, you're basically signing a contract to yourself saying, I'm ready to be eternally tortured. And that demon that you're sending will come right back to that person, right back to you, and it will fuck you up, because spirits serve power. Just like, as I mentioned, the demons, they serve the female spirits, demons, the female demonic forces that are in control of the tunnels of Set, and also in control of the Qliphothic realms, starting with Napaht and Lilith, and then all the other feminine dark spirits in the Qliphoth that are pretty much holding it together. So that's their nature. But when you become an androgynous being, having crossed the abyss, you are now a feminine dark spirit yourself. And the demons serve power, and if you are more powerful than the person attacking you, and you know, if you cross the abyss, you're now linked with Source, which is also, you're more powerful than these spirits. You're more powerful than the demons of the Qliphoth. You're more powerful than what's it called? Any of them. Any beings in the tunnels of Set, because you're Source being now. You're a being that is beyond the entire matrix itself, the entire 5-dimensional plane. So you are essentially a being that controls Earth functions, Earth energy functions, the quantum wave function too. So you've programmed the entire system of, you could say, the underworld to serve you. So if someone, let's say hypothetically another magician, tries to screw you over, and they don't know that you're that powerful, and they have so much self-importance, and they try to attack you psychically, they're doing themselves in. Once again, they are signing a contract to say, I'm ready to be fucking tortured for the rest of my life. And then they'll realize how their life goes to shit after that. And I have done that to magicians that, you know, are even on YouTube. There was one guy, I'm not even going to publicize his name because he's scum, and he ended up deleting his whole channel. Like, and I'm talking weeks after he threatened me, deleting his whole channel. And it's a real thing. I mean, there's a real science to it, and you know, I needed somebody to come out of the blue and challenge me, because that was actually a step that I needed for my evolution. I needed a damn soul. Okay, and this was given to me by Hecate. I needed that to happen. I needed to trap a damn soul to empower my next level of initiation at the time. And sure enough, out of nowhere, this guy that's actually somewhat known occult this came out of the blue and challenged me, threatened me on my own channel. And next thing you know, a couple weeks later, deletes his entire channel. Gone. Empty. Done. Okay? And that's what happens. So, yeah, that's another bit of knowledge that you can have. But the reason why the demons were so important to invoke as a part of the formula of awakening my daemon is because, as I said, the demons add to the soul of the initiate good things. So in order to really bridge that gap between you and your daemon, so your conscious mind to your subconscious and unconscious, you need a powerful soul and you need a powerful spirit. And naturally, by empowering your soul using the Ars Goetia that do that naturally, the spirit can also get empowered as well. So it's strengthening the ability for you to really have that awakening where your daemon can take a real form in front of you that's very visible and very detailed. And that was the exact reason why I had to have invoked those 11 Ars Goetia spirits right before, like as a part of the formula to, you know, awaken my daemon to my conscious understanding. And there's a science to it, okay? And when I teach people how to initiate through the Qliphoth, I'm going to be teaching the same science, okay? I'm going to be teaching them exactly how I did it because I did it successfully. You know, I am somebody who's done it successfully, meaning you can walk in my steps and I can pull you through the system so that you can guarantee you're going to make it as long as you have the willingness, readiness, and ableness to go through some of the challenges that will present themselves. And how else do I know that, you know, I can help other people? Because I'm doing it right now. I have people that I've met on my journey that initiated while I was already almost towards the end half, and they started theirs and they went through very similar experiences as I did, and they ended up crossing the abyss, and now they're going through the higher spheres. So all I need is to get you across the abyss, and then you are now a source being. And you'll be able to take care of the rest. Not saying that the last 3 spheres aren't challenging, they definitely are, but you know, to cross the abyss is a huge step, and you got to do that. And I have friends that have finished that. I have 2 friends, close people to me, very high-level magicians, very high-level magicians. One of them's connected to the government, not going to mention anything else about it. And the other one is on an island right now. Not going to mention anything about it. And just know that they are very high-level magicians and they take their path very seriously, and that I was the person that helped guide them through their journey and actually pulled them in the direction that they needed to move, because I was the initiator the whole entire time. I was the one that was studying what was going on and how to move forward, and I was ahead of everybody else. So I had to make it first, and then I could start pulling people behind me. And they definitely have strong willpower, strong spirit, strong souls, and they are a force of nature, and they worked through the crossing of the abyss. So, you know, once again, like, you can learn from somebody who's done it and get the same result as that person, which is success, or you can learn from somebody that hasn't done it, that said they've done it, but you can tell from their personality, from their being, from their energy, that they haven't done it. And guess what result you're going to get? The same as they did. So that's why you got to be careful when you're doing all your practices coming from books, because you most likely don't know the background of the person that wrote the book. How do you know that person did it successfully? How do you know? Because what you're doing is you're putting your soul and your spirit on the line. And if you're basing all your practices off a book written by somebody that you don't fully know was successful, then your outcome is guaranteed to be the same outcome as them. And if it was, for example, like Aleister Crowley, he died broke, he died a drug addict, most of his followers you know, had terrible endings. Guess what outcome you'll get if that's your main person you're learning from? Same outcome. And if that's what you want, please, by all means, go down that path. But that's not what I'm teaching. And I'm part of you could call me the New World Order. I'm part of this. I'm part of a new age of understanding this high-level occult science. And I'm not the only person doing it. I know other people that are doing this. There's somebody that I really look up to that I've been learning a lot about the science of occult magic from. And but this person's way older than me. But you know, that's how it rolls. You know, you gotta find people that are actually successful in the field, and you gotta follow them. And I definitely think the value that I offer is the fact that I explain it in a very practical way. I've achieved it. And I'm telling people the truth. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to sugarcoat things, or I'm not trying to create this isn't me trying to sell you something that's not real. This is real occult initiation. And once again, I feel like I say it in a practical way so that people can understand it. And once again, the value I gain from helping people move forward on their journey is the more people that I can help get to source, the more my enemies suffer. Okay, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm looking for all of my enemies, which is, you could think of as chaos entities, people that are possessed by chaos and are parasitic in nature. The more they suffer, the more power I gain, the more happy I am. All by helping other people achieve source, if that's what they're supposed to achieve. Because if you're supposed to achieve it, if source wants you to achieve it, then you'll achieve it. And you'll probably be directed to my channel, or maybe another person's channel that's doing what I'm doing, which I don't know too many people. I literally only know one other channel that's really doing it like me. Maybe two, actually, maybe two. But that's it, okay? And I'm the youngest out of them that's doing it. I'm the youngest one, okay? So this is the information on the Daemon. I definitely think I shared enough. My battery's coming to an end here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the thumbs up. Hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, because I post videos as often as I can. And I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof, okay? First thing I'd like to mention is, if you would like to gain access to exclusive content, then what I would definitely recommend is checking out my Patreon, okay? So where you're gonna be able to find the Patreon is if you go to the description of this YouTube video, you hit the drop down, it's gonna say My Patreon right at the top. It's that first link. And you click that. That'll literally take you right there, okay? So what's on my Patreon is exclusive content. Let me start here. Some of that exclusive content is going to be geared towards actual occult practices that I'm performing on camera. I'm teaching you how to perform them yourself. And I'm breaking it down in a way that you can understand it using the real techniques to do it properly. Okay, so for example, I have a video on how to do an invocation, which is invoking an external intelligent spirit into your own energy field. And what this does is that pulls the energy towards you to then take on that spirit's energy, add it to your own energy field, which is vampiric in nature. This should be your intention, to take the power of the spirit. And then you gain the attributes of the spirit. Okay, so that increases your psychic power, your psychic senses, and your psychic protection. And that can be very beneficial, and that can help guide you in the path that you need to go down. The other bit of the videos are going to be geared towards Kabbalah, where I break down this entire system of initiation, sphere by sphere, from the top of the tree all the way to the bottom, giving you the attributations, the spiritual forces that are associated with them, the planetary energies, and my own personal experience having initiated through the spheres myself, which is very valuable. So this is all going to be found on my Patreon. In order to gain access to this content, you have to at least be a Tier 2 member or up. And in order to be a Tier 2, it literally costs $9.95 a month, which literally will come out to less than $1 a day. So if you do the math, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that, especially with the value that I have on there, and that is a fact, okay? So I have a very powerful service that is a part of my Patreon, and there is 4 tiers altogether, and this specific service is gonna be on the 4th tier. So as you go up in tiers, the benefits increase. I would definitely recommend checking out the service yourself. I'm not gonna break it down now, it would take a little bit too long, but definitely check that out if that's something you feel led to do. And with that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to those people that have taken advantage of that service. I have their names all mentioned below that Patreon link in the description. So huge shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Next shout out I would like to give is to all of my Patreon subscribers in general. I appreciate all of you for taking your knowledge to the next level. And then the third shout out is going to be to all of my subscribers. I appreciate all of you, okay? The next link that I want you to check out is going to be the second link below, and that's going to take you to where you can book a tarot card reading from me. Okay, so it's going to say square appointments, and what I do for the tarot reading is I use 3 cards, present, near future, long-term future, and I break the cards down in a very subjective way. So I'm not just giving you an average traditional reading, I'm literally giving you a reading that is very individualized and accustomed to whoever it is that I'm giving it to, meaning that I may pull a card for you, and I may pull another card for the next person that gets a reading, and it could be the same card, but that same card could have a complete different meaning for you than it does the next person. And the main reason why I'm able to do that is because I'm giving you a reading breaking down all the symbolism that I'm seeing on the card and also associating it to you, the person who's getting the reading, and listening in to what my intuition and what my spirit is telling me to tell you. And I'm not holding back. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel like I need to tell you. And I'm not concerned about, oh, maybe I'll offend the person or maybe they don't want to hear this. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is because that's how you're going to actually grow. Okay? So that's how I do my readings. I break it all the way down to the planetary energy. As I said, all the symbolism that I'm seeing on the card in a subjective way. And then all the way down to the Hebrew letter, which can literally locate where you are in your own spiritual journey. Okay, I can show you where your spirit is currently in regards to the tree of life, which is very fascinating and can really give you some clarity on where you are and what's coming next. Okay, I can give you a lot of understanding in those regards. So once again, I'm going to leave it there. Last thing I do want to mention about the readings, though, is that I do the reading on my own time. And the main reason for that is because I like to fully get in my zone when I do it. And then when I finish, I take my phone, I record a full video breakdown that is individualized to the person that I'm giving the reading to. And then when that is finished, I go ahead and I send the reading over to you, the video breakdown, through WhatsApp. And then after that, the only thing that I request is your honest and personal feedback, because right now I'm building up a huge thing of testimonials. So far, I've done about 40, I want to say like 45 readings, and every piece of feedback that I've gotten has been absolutely amazing. And I will reveal it at some time. You can even see it on my Instagram if you want to check it out now. But yeah, it's just building up and up and up and up, and I love building up my testimonials. So once again, that's going to wrap it up. So if you want to gain access to a personalized reading, then definitely check out the second link below where it says square appointments. Okay. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.